We only spent one season at Dortmund. We're on the move again, and we've gone to Juventus. Ooh. Buongiorno, folks, and welcome to the first episode of Season 6 of Conquering the Euro on Football Manager 2019 with Juventus. And today we start off our career at the Italian club with a game against Cagliari. I'm going to be rubbish at these names because I've never managed in Italy before. But hello, everyone, and welcome to a new club. Now, this is a bit of a shock to some of you. Maybe a bit of a shock. It was to me when I got the job offer. But when Juventus come recording, you've kind of got to go. But if you haven't watched the end of last year, I'd recommend you go and watch that first. But if you did, we did, of course, win the Bundesliga, which means that we could now move to another club. We finished our job in Germany. We've won the league. We've ticked Germany off. And now we have to go to Italy and two other European nations before we go back to England, in whatever order, of course, to go on with the respective leagues there. Now, Juventus did sack their manager, Pep Guardiola, at the end of last season, directly after they'd played the last game. They finished fourth in the Bundesliga, but they have in Serie A. But they've been on a bit of a downward spiral for a bit, actually. They did win consecutive titles ever since 2011 through to the 2019-20 season. But after that, they finished second the 2 years after. And had their worst finish since 2011 last year, when they finished in fourth place. Now, Milan are the team that seem to be really asserting their dominance over the league now, finishing first in all of the last season. By some margin, it seems, as well. So they're going to be the big competition. Who have they got in charge? They've got in charge Fatih Terim even, not Faith. Fatih Terim in charge there. And they've got some very solid players. Of course, they had a very good youth system at the start of the game, so I'm not surprised. They've managed to hold on to the likes of Donnarumma in the back of the net. They have got, let's have a look, Patrick. I feel like I recognise that name as well, Cutron. But he's been there for a long time and had a decent year. But they've got a lot of it. They've got a big Italian base of players, and they're going to be the big opposition at the start of this year. And as you can see, have won the last three Bundesligas after a real drought ever since 2011, when I think Juventus won their first league title. But they sacked Guardiola, and we went for the job. We thought, yeah, we'll put our name into the hat, and we got a interview pretty much straight away, and they offered us the job, and I thought, yeah, let's go for it. And I was quite happy to take the job. The squad wasn't the best when I came here, admittedly. It wasn't the most fantastic of squads, and that's probably why they didn't play very well. And it seems that for some reason, Guardiola didn't use a lot of the players last year, and there was a bit of confusion about who was in the team, etc. But we have made a lot of moves. Admittedly, this is not the squad that we had when we came in. Let's have a look what we've done to this squad to make it a little bit better. Now, we have spent quite a bit of money, admittedly. We've spent £106 million on 6 separate players, but at the same time, we have sold £97 million in players as well. So we've only spent a net £9 million, which is a good, it's a good turnaround and a good summary in my opinion. Now, we joined the club in early June, gave us some good time to get our deals done. As you can probably see, a lot of our deals were done by the 2nd of July in terms of ins and outs, really. So it was just a case of just waiting until the new season started. Now, our big one that happened first was actually there was an offer from Man City for our big central midfielder. He hasn't, well, to be fair, he did play very well last year. He was only really one of a few players that played very well last year after joining the club for £99 million from Barcelona. But Man City came with an £83 million bid after a few bids, admittedly. That was about £60 million at first. But £83 million, yeah, I was quite happy to let him go for that. As you know, with my philosophy as a manager, no place is indispensable. And at the end of the day, it was a good bid. He is 27, 28, and you could argue he's at the peak of his career. But I don't think you get an offer as big as that personally in the future. So I thought that was a good move for us, and it allowed a few more players to get into the team. Nicholas Nkulu also went to Sampdoria. Funnily enough, it was only one day before his contract ran out. I found that quite bizarre. But they seemed to want to sign him before his contract ran out anyway, because he was on loan there last year. Had quite a poor season, actually, but they did go ahead on the deal, which was to spend £10.5 million to bring Nkulu into the club, and we were more than happy with that. A few frees going out, a few younger players going out, and then Jasper Cillessen going out to Bournemouth later on in the transfer window for £3.3 million. And that's a decent move at the age of 35, because we do have Szczesny as well in the back of the net, so we do have 2 experienced goalkeepers. Now, on the ins, we brought in 2 free transfers, which I have to say, I think they've been real coups, both of these. And Mason Mount's the first one from Chelsea. Has been there, of course, since he's a youth player. Went on loan, out on loan to Stoke, Vitesse, Derby County. But has a little bit of a run, albeit sporadic, in the Chelsea team over the last few years, playing 15 or 16 games for them. Not the worst record, but not the best record, but he did have 2 good seasons, actually, in the previous 2 years. I do wonder whether they didn't have a brilliant season last year. That might well be because that might well be the reason why his average rating's pushed down. To be fair, they did finish second, so, you know, it's not much of an excuse. But nonetheless, we've bought him in for free. His coaching summary is very good. He's 3.5 stars already, nearly at a 4-star ability. Although I don't particularly know why we've got Antonio somebody measuring the potential, because he's a 2 and a 2 at judging ability and potential. But David Ancelotti, our assistant manager, seems to think the same. I don't think he's Carlo's son, though. But nonetheless, he's quite versatile. He's a big central midfielder, can play more of the attacking positions, I'd say, an advanced playmaker or a Mazzala. Even as a deep line playmaker quite competently, and as well can play in the central attacking midfield position, but admittedly we probably won't need him there. But his value is at £53 million. So it's picked him up on a free deal, seems absolutely crazy. And if you can have a good breakthrough season, who knows, we could sell him for the likes of 80 million, which would be absolutely bonkers, considering we've signed him on a free. Now, another former Chelsea player which we've gone out and signed is Diego Costa, a 34-year-old Diego Costa, admittedly now. But he's had a few decent years. He's been at Atletico Madrid even since the stave started. And apart from last year, he had some very good seasons, scoring at least 10 goals in all of the seasons, particularly in that season, the 2020-21 season, when he got 20 goals. But only 6 goals last campaign out of 20 games, but I'm still confident he's got what it takes to be a backup striker, and a very good backup option, I believe he is. We also bought in Florin Andone from our former employer in Liverpool. Now, we did sign, it was kind of one of our last acts, at Liverpool to sign Andone, but the new manager, Valverde, wasn't interested. Like a lot of the players, he wasn't interested in him, and he only played 4 games last year. But he was seriously a threat when he was at Chelsea and Brighton in previous years. And I do think he could probably not rip up the Bundesliga, but certainly do something at the age of 30. 18 million, it's not the worst move in the world. It's not a dangerous move. But there we go. Yeah, he's quite happy with me being in charge, obviously, as I bought him in the first place. So he shows quite a lot of trust in us, and I think that's a good move. We also bought in Luka Jovic from Bayern Munich. Now, admittedly, this is a little bit like the Nkulu deal. There was an offer in place. We did have him on loan last year. He didn't have the best season, admittedly. I've signed Luka Jovic more on his name than anything else. And the fact that you can't really get a top striker for any less than 43 million. So I thought, yeah, let's go for it. And it was a deal in the loan deal that Bayern Munich could put forward. That's bizarrely, he'd only been there for 1 year. He'd only played there for 1 year, then gone out on loan. But they had made a bit of a profit on him in the end, because we bought it for £43 million, and he's a similar striker to Andone, obviously a little bit younger, granted, but his ability is similar, and he's also got a little bit more ability to push on in the future. So that's really an exciting signing. We've also bought in Raheem Sterling from Manchester City, somewhere where he's obviously been for a number of years now. But his ability is still very impressive. He didn't have the best year last year in terms of his goal scoring, but he did have a decent year in terms of his average rating at a 7.07. 35 million, that's cost us. It's really... It doesn't cut the transfer window budget that much, but we did only have 90 million, so it did take up a considerable amount of that budget. He's quite proficient on either side of the wing, which will help us in getting that depth in the team. And I think he is our highest paid player at £275,000 a week, which I didn't really want to pay him that much, but he's a real marquee sign, I'd say Sterling would be, and has definitely got the potential to get it going in the Bundesliga. I think I'm just getting Dortmund blues, I really am. I didn't want to leave there, the Bundesliga. Oh dear. But his current ability is a 4-star. He's a superb rating and a good signing nonetheless. And then we were forced into making a late signing in Simone Scuffet. Someone you probably recognise from FIFA a few years ago as being the next big thing. He's been at Udinese all his career. Didn't have the best year last year, admittedly. But he was transfer listed and, you know, he was 9 million. And as a backup goalkeeper, I'm sure he'll do just fine. Now, obviously, in this league this year, we have got 4 competitions. We've got the Serie A, in which we aim to win that, of course, but our goal is to qualify for the Champions League by finishing the top 4 of the league. We have the Champions League, which we did admittedly get into, which is great. It's our first time playing in the Champions League for a while now, after we didn't obviously get there with Dortmund last year. We entered that at the group stage, and then we're also in the League Cup in Italy, the Coppa Italia. I wonder whether we can get to the final of that again. And then we've got the Super Coppa d'Italia, which is just a 1-game special against Milan in January. But today we're just going to focus on the 1 game against Cagliari, so let's see how we are lining up to face that team. Now, the Juventus board do want defensive football, but defensive football is not in my vocabulary, so we've gone with exactly the same sort of tactic that we used at Dortmund and at Liverpool, with Szczesny in goal, with Di Siglio, Matip, Sanasai and Barreca at the back. That will change throughout the season, granted. Witsel and Mount in the midfield, Sterling and Douglas Costa in the attacking midfield positions. Then it's an all-debut game in terms of signings, with Andone and Jovic starting up front. But it's just going to very much be, a season, not necessarily a season, but a few games where we have no clue who to pick, what's going on, because we're only basing it off the form of the last few seasons. We haven't really got a warm-up, we haven't played much in the way of friendlies. We've played 1 or 2, but nothing that's really meaningful. But, yeah, we've got our first game today. They're playing very defensive, but we are going to go out and try and be attacking and shock them a little bit, because in the past it seems the board wanted managers to play in a defensive way. But personally, in my opinion, if we can get something out of this league, if we can win the league, if we can finish better than Guardiola did last year, then, I don't think the board can complain if we play our usual attacking football. Now, something we've got to get used to, which is to our advantage really, is that we have 12 substitutions. So pretty much everybody's going to be in the team every day of the week, which is quite nice. Gives a lot of choice. With Mason Mount already, within 3 minutes, getting his first goal from the edge of the box for Juventus. A great cross from the left winger Douglas Costa into the middle, and Mason Mount really was unmarked, to be honest, and it was a fantastic goal from him. Now, this club's one with a big pressure. It's got a big name attached to it as Juventus. I'd say it's bigger than Dortmund and Liverpool purely because of its success in the last years. I mean, look at that fantastic goal. But yeah, it's in the last years, it's had a lot of success, scraping away the fact that Milan have come to dominate the league over the last few years. It's a team with massive success. Is that James Milner playing for Cagliari? Well, I thought I'd come against him again, but James Milner playing as a left midfielder. I did not notice that in the starting lineup. Well, that's a bit of an interesting one. But at the moment, to be quite honest, we haven't really come under much threat from Cagliari. And it's going to be an interesting season with this team. It's going to go one way or the other. It's going to very much be that the team's just been poorly managed, the players haven't been playing very well over the last few years, and that will ease to the title. Or it will be a case of, no, Milan are proper opposition, and it's going to be quite tricky. But I do think that we were lucky last year. I kept saying that. We were a little bit lucky at Dortmund, and we just fell on our feet, really, with the fact that the other sides in the league didn't play awfully well. Bayern Munich had an off-season. Leipzig had an off-season as well. They did lose more games than you'd think, and for a team to win the title, such as us at Dortmund, even after losing 7 games, just shows that we were a little bit lucky. Definitely to some extent, but I'm not going to complain about that. We've got our first title in this Conquering the Euro, and that's what we needed really to push us forward, and now we've got a really big job here at Juventus to see if we can win the league. But it's all going to plan at the moment. We're winning 1-0. If that happens every game, we win the league, so I'm not too fussed about that. But apart from that first highlight, really nothing has happened so far. So Andone is going to come off for Diego Costa, see what he can do up front as a deep line forward, and we're also going to bring off Barreca on the left, because he seems quite tired. We're going to bring, I think it's Quintero, one of our youngsters. Yeah, he is, and he's got some real good potential. So we'll bring Quintero on the left-hand side. Now, the same applies, obviously, as every other European league, I think, in that, we've got 12 subs in this league, but you can only make 3 of them. So it doesn't really make a difference whether, you play 7 or 12 subs. You can only make 3 of them nonetheless. But here comes a free kick. First highlight for a while from Diego Costa. It is Diego Costa. In fact, which one is it? Is it Douglas or Diego? I can't quite tell. Which one is it? Well, we'll figure that out in a minute. But it seems to be perhaps a penalty here. Stop plays the referee, and the player's just running ragged along the box, and that's a bit bizarre, but nonetheless. The ref stopped it to go to VAR to consult VAR. He's reviewing the incident. Is it going to be a penalty for us? And are we going to be able to consolidate our lead and make it 2-0? Let's find out. The ref concedes what? A penalty. A penalty is given after video review. And Diego Costa will take the penalty. And Diego Costa is number 35. Douglas is number 11. I completely bypassed the fact that that would ever happen. But Diego Costa for his first goal for us, perhaps. And it's been saved. What a start to his career. You'll remember that it was the same for Mario Balotelli at Dortmund when his first penalty was saved on the first game. But nonetheless, I don't think it will matter too much because Cagliari haven't really offered anything today in terms of their, in terms of goal scoring, etc. No, I don't want to bring Marcio Lopez on as a midfielder. This is the problem we had last year. We are going to bring him on for Matip, though. Matip's obviously getting on a little bit now. And I am surprised he's at Juventus, but nonetheless, we'll let him get away with it. 32 years of age, a good, solid, experienced defender. And it seems that this game's been nothing other than solid. We haven't really faced any opposition from Cagliari, albeit a bit of a boring game. But nonetheless, it's a win. It's a good win to start off our career. It's always the same old story. If we hadn't have won the game, we'd have been criticised. And if we won it, like we have there, then they said, well, it was an easy win. So, that makes things interesting. A good start to our career here at Juventus. And now we're going to play a few games off camera. I think we've got a few big games in the next few games. I think we've got Roma about the 3rd or 4th game in. That's a massive game to see how far we can go this season. But if you enjoyed this video and you think the move to Juventus is a good one, make sure to leave a like down below. Don't dislike just because you don't like Juventus, that's mean. Comment down below as well and subscribe if you're new to the channel for 5 videos of Football Manager every week. Thank you very much for watching, folks. I've been TIJ and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.